There's a lot of people that is in ministry that suffers from mental health issues, emotional health issues, physical health issues. And sometimes they're more able to deal with physical health than emotional health. Ministry is a place where people want to feel as though their needs are being met. That is just a fact. It's just no other way of looking at it. So you can go into ministry and feel as if you are not getting enough emotional connection. It doesn't mean that you have a mental health problem. It's just that you want to be able to address those concerns. Sometimes it seems like they're just not people there that was willing to deal with that. I believe ministries should focus on having people that's in peer support to be able to help that ministry deals with those things, because a lot of people deal with emotional issues. Emotional issues is not always about someone who mentally suffers from a diagnosed issue, but it can come from someone who just lost a parent. Emotional issues can go into a grief. Emotional issues can go because you don't have food on the table. Emotional issues can be a lot of things that's not always should be addressed as let's pray and that's it. Because emotional issues come alongside with spiritual connection. As long as you stressed out, long as you feeling some type of way, long as you sad, then you're not really focused. You're still dealing with your internals and your depression or whatever it is that you suffering from. If you have a ministry and your ministry is only dealing with people that have physical things that you can actually see, but then you get people that come into your ministry and they may not be able to comprehend. These are things you have to really look at. If you can't deal with people that have emotional scars, if you can't deal with people that have mental problems, then your ministry is not really focusing on community. Your ministry is focusing on something else. It's very important that we learn the difference. If someone who have emotional health issue can't go into the place where they should be received without someone looking down on them or making them feel uncomfortable, then what happens is that they'll leave the ministry and you never be able to see the real person that you're dealing with because you rather deal with someone you feel have a normalcy. But mental and emotional health is not always seen. You got somebody that come into your ministry, they may be sitting in the back and you think that they may be shy. And this is really why we have to start looking as ministers about the people that we saying that we're here for. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that this is the opportunity that we deal with emotional health. This is not about mental health, but this is emotional health. So what exactly is emotional health? We're going to look at something that's from the NIH.gov. So it's NIH.gov. How you feel can affect your ability to carry out everyday activities. How you react to your experiences and feelings can change over time. Emotional wellness is the ability to successfully handle life stresses and adapt to change in difficult times. It says 6 strategies for improving your emotional health. Build resilience. Reduce stress. Get quality sleep. Be mindful. Cope with loss. Strengthen social connection. Now, we're going to get a clear picture on how a ministry can help someone that's going through some emotional things and they can't very well pretty much express. Now, we talked about 6 things that can improve emotional health. First one they talk about is building resilience. People who are emotionally well, expert says, have fewer negative emotions and are able to bounce back from difficulties faster. This quality is called resilience. Learning healthy ways to cope and how to draw from resources in your community can help you build resilience. Let's just say that someone come into your ministry for that day and they, I guess, immersively crying. And the first thing people do is they see somebody crying. Some people, I'm not saying all, sometimes they feel like they want to pray around them and say they are going through a spiritual breakthrough. That may be true, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's that they just lost someone they really love. It could be that they broke up in a bad relationship. It could be that they just lost their kids and they're sitting in social services and they don't know if they're going to get them back. Somebody could have got locked up that they love desperately. Now they have to deal with the penalty of not seeing them, the consequences. It could be a lot of reasons that somebody lost their job, somebody lost their car, somebody lost their home, somebody lost something, or it could be that they're just happy. It could be either way. A lot of times the quickest thing to do is just go, let's pray, everything gonna be all right. That's not always necessarily the best approach all the time. Sometimes you have to really get yourself into a prayer mode, number one, before you even start having service. Because the Father don't have a problem talking to you just like he talked to Moses. Now, you see somebody, they're going through this thing, and the first thing, if you feel you got a team, it's a woman, you got a bunch of women praying over them, you got a bunch of men, if it's a man praying over them, and they don't even know what they're praying about. They have no idea. If you read in the Bible, every time the Messiah touched anybody, it was a purpose that he touched them. He knew exactly why he was touching them, because they told him why. Father, they tell him, Rabbi, we're going through this, and he touched them based on the things that they were dealing with. Not all the time that there's going to be a prophetic word. It was a time when the Messiah was touched by the woman who was bleeding for a period of time. He knew that virtue came out of him, but he didn't know why she touched him. So does that necessarily mean that they just need prayer? I'm trying to get you to understand that if you are in ministry, you got to deeply look at the root of the issue, even if it's just that one day. You don't want to just send them away if you see them crying like that. You don't know the emotional wounds or scars taking place, and you'll miss the opportunity to help this person out of a situation that you or I may not know, and you may save their life. You don't know if they're in a domestic violence situation and they came into your ministry for safety. They may not be able to tell you in front of everybody what they're dealing with. So a good way of helping somebody build resilience in that situation is first dealing with the issue. What is the issue that they're dealing with? What is the thing that they're going through right now that needs to be addressed? Not you can give them resources to get the help they need. You have to have a team of people that's looking at what could be, because that's what ministry is for. To help someone build resilience, they have to first learn healthy ways to cope with whatever they're going through. They need to understand whatever emotional things that they're dealing with and how they need to get the help so that they can get a further along condition in a better position. So they may need to go to some type of treatment because it could be a mental health issue. But you have to be focused. And sometimes you have to learn, go to different classes as a minister to learn how to be more efficient dealing with people that have emotional issues. It'll help you in the long run. Now, another one is called reduce stress. Everyone feels stress from time to time. Stress can give you a rush of energy when it's needed most, but if stress lasts a long time, a condition known as chronic stress, those high alert changes become harmful rather than helpful. Learning healthy ways to cope with stress can also boost your resilience. One, you can manage it by getting enough sleep, exercising a lot more, building a social support network, setting priorities that can be more beneficial for you. Be more compassionate to yourself. Practice some self-care so that it's a little bit more easier to deal with things because you're giving yourself chance enough to relax on your own rather than always holding on to everything. Now, a minister can help someone reduce stress by allowing different types of groups in their ministry. You have to learn to build relationship with every person. That every person have to learn to build relationship with each other. If you're going to learn how to deal with people as a minister, you have to be more involved in the ministry. There's five areas I believe that most is very important for people. That's your emotions, that's your spiritual, your mental, your physical, and your social. Those five areas should always be addressed in some way or another so that you have a balance in your life. And a lot of times we miss those parts when we are so focused on times. At 2 o'clock is the end of service. I got to go home and cook. There used to be a time when everybody came together and cooked. They came together for a reason, and it was benefiting the people to see that there was a love that was involved in that ministry. There was a love involved with the house. Like everybody came together. See, this is the thing, because how would you help somebody who don't have no food, no shelter, no clothing? And a lot of times we don't look at it like that because we have grown accustomed to what we're comfortable with. But no food, no shelter, no clothing put people in a bad place when it comes to getting past stress. I'm just using that as an example so that you can understand that your ministry should be a connective ministry. Your ministry should be a relationship building ministry. It should not be a person in that ministry hurting for anything. Everybody in that ministry, if they see somebody hurting, they should all share in to help that person. But if somebody coming in an emotional pain, emotional issues, and the service ends at 2 o'clock, what can I help you with? What you need? Rather than really spending time, because what do you have to do? What do you really have to do that you're not sharing that whole day anyway with the Most High? What are you doing on that day? Why is it that you have to schedule everything after your service time? Like that whole day should be filled with you working together with brothers and sisters. Because when people come in that's emotionally scarred, how are they going to be able to communicate with people that's already disdaining them on the outside in the world? And they come into the ministry and they feel like they ostracized or they feel some type of way, even on the inside. You see it in Acts here, Acts chapter 2. So day to day, they continue with one mind in the set apart place, and they broke bread from house to house. Now, we all know that sometimes it's difficult to sleep when you are stressed out. If you feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, you might not want to go to sleep. You might want to just be up and you can't sleep. You feel like I can't get no rest. I'm going through a lot of stuff in my internals, especially if you're dealing with emotions. And how do you get past those things? Let's talk about some of the things that you can do to get some sleep in the midst of it. Maybe this will help you. Just give it some thought. Now, if you have a pattern of going to bed at 7 o'clock, maybe not changing it unless there's a need will help you to stay on a time management of your sleep time. Some people don't like sleeping in the dark. They like to be in the light. They feel comfortable. But some people like to sleep in the dark and it's quiet and comfortable environment where you're safe or you feel safe because they feel safe enough to rest and you want quietness. So you can utilize that skill of learning how to find ways to stay in a quiet place. Sometimes you need to put on some headphones just so that you can have a little bit of sound, but it's not disturbing you from resting. Exercise daily. Anytime that you exercising, I need to do it myself, but when you exercising, it gives you a lot of workout. The workout will get you more rest. You'll be tired and you'll sleep a little quicker. This will help you to rest. Limit the use of your electronics. Don't use your phone the whole entire time, and that's the way you fall asleep, because it will keep your mind constantly on that. You'll be not focused to rest. Relax a little before you actually go to bed. Take a warm bath or read a little bit so that you can get that rest. Avoid alcohol, things that going to keep you stimulated too long can sometimes keep you up. You got to have not a large meal before you go to bed. Avoid nicotine and caffeine because that will also keep you stimulated. Don't take no naps quickly. Taking a nap sometime before the bedtime can actually keep you up. Get natural sunlight to get the vitamin D. And also get with your healthcare professional because there might be an issue why you can't rest. So I'm just trying to give you some insight in ministry where you can help somebody that may be going through some things and you're not really sure what it is. So I'm just trying to give you some stuff, and hopefully you take some of this stuff, start doing some research, and really start focusing on how you can help your ministry get past some things that you might not see yourself, and even help yourself. Now, keep in your mind how to deal with meditation. Now, some meditation, some things that they do in meditation, I just don't have an agreement with. But some things are very focus oriented. Some meditation, when you are in a position where you feel comfortable and you relax, and you may put on something that's very soft and soothing, practicing some nice breathing techniques to try to keep your mind in a good place. I used to think about the sun and you sitting there and just in your mind, just wherever you at, relaxing. Maybe taking a walk if possible. Try to eat food in a way that's like you're taking your time to eat it instead of rushing. Enjoy the flavors, and that can get you into a good meditation. Be aware of your body if there's any issues that you need to address. Find places that you can go and have communication with other people. They have support groups and things like that. I'm an advocate for support groups. You'll find people going through some of the issues that you're going through and be able to communicate together. The hardest thing that some people go through is when they have a loss. So a lot of times we look at loss and the first thing we think about is somebody passing away. That's not the only loss that can cause grief. If you have been taking care of your family and you lose a job that was paying most of the bills, that's a heavy loss, especially for somebody that has a heart to take care of their family. The person going through that loss may not feel like they can even comprehend the things that they're dealing with mentally and emotionally. I'm gonna find another job in this, and they building that resilience, but they don't have a support system, which is very important to have. So they're going through this loss and they don't really know how to talk to people about it because they are not used to dealing with people on that area. They're used to doing things for everybody else, and now they're in a place where they have to ask for help. So how do you deal with that in your ministry? Emotions is emotions. Doesn't matter who it's coming from. And this is why this is called emotional wellness. Because you got to remember, you can be in this situation. You can be in this situation. I'm trying to help you understand. Because we are not the dictator of someone's life. We have no idea what they're going through. If you have a ministry and your outreach is just giving people food, that's not dealing with people. That's dealing with the situation. But that's not dealing with people. People are emotionally scarred. People are mentally scarred. People are physically scarred. Some people don't even know how to socialize because they have got accustomed to this COVID. These are things that a ministry should be doing to help the people. You can't be the world and talk about you serving the Most High. You can't do both. You can't live both ways. You got to be a little different because you got to actually care. You got to care about the people in order to see the people become more efficient in their life. So as you grow in your ministry, you got these emotional issues that I'm bringing up is around social networking. Social networking is not just about going on to some social sharing site. Social networking is connecting people to what is important. Now, you see somebody have a mental health issue, you link them up to a treatment center, a behavioral care center where they can get the help they need. You don't just let them sit around and let them go through the stuff and you just saying, we're going to pray for them. These people are there for a purpose. That's when they really need the most help. And they need to be dealing with somebody that has a full entree of help. The same way you send somebody who have diabetes to the doctor, the same way you send them to a mental health facility to get the help that they really need. Then you learn as a minister how to continue the help when they get out of the program. See, that's how it works. They have to first go to the high level, which is the most high. Then you send them to a place to get the help that's needed. Then you have a plan after the fact so that they will have a place to go to continue their recovery effort. That's how you help somebody that has a mental health issue. But if somebody have an emotional issue, it's a little bit different. Because emotion can kind of coincide with mental, but sometimes it's not a heart emotion issue. Sometimes it's not a point where they need treatment type emotions. Sometimes it can be that they just hurt because they just had a bad breakup and they don't need a treatment center for that. They need to see that people love them and care about them. They may need support from women and men, and then they need to be able to have that resource available. And sometimes it might be more needed in the beginning than in the middle and then the end. So you can't just have my schedule says this. Sometimes you have to delegate that position so that there's enough people to handle when somebody are going through. It may not be them. It could be their relative that's going through, but it's affecting them. These are things that ministry have to keep in mind. We're not here for ourselves. We are here for whoever needs these types of assistance, because that's what ministry is supposed to do. You helping them to build a lifestyle that's going to give them understanding that they need to do things for themselves. You helping them to see that they got a support system when needed, not every day of the week when they don't need it. But like I said, in the beginning, most people need to know you are there. But then after a while, you have to start giving them a chance to grow. And the wellness department push forth that in your ministry so you won't have to keep repeating the same thing to the same person when they be able to self-serve themselves. Hallelujah. Thank you for listening.